You ever notice how HOAs act like their rules are the law? Like the moment they build pastel houses behind a fancy sign, suddenly they own everything the eye can see? Well, they thought they owned my land. They thought my grandfather's 9 acres were just another shortcut to their suburban kingdom. They wanted access through my gate, said it was for the good of the community. I told them no. That's when the certified letters came, the threats, even men at my gate flashing fake badges in the middle of the night. But here's the thing about me. You can push, you can smear my name, you can even bring an excavator to my fence. But if you think I'll let a pack of polo shirt bureaucrats rewrite history on my land, you've got another thing coming. HOA officers demand access through my gate. I inherited this land from my grandfather, and I'll be damned if I let anyone tell me how to use it. 9 acres of rough Texas soil, iron-fenced and gated, sitting high on a ridge east of town. There's a kind of peace out here you can't buy in a subdivision. My driveway runs a 1/4 mile long, ending with my family's name burned into a steel plate. This place is mine. My workshop, my dogs, my tools, and enough distance from the nearest neighbor that I can drink coffee in my underwear without someone calling the sheriff. At least, that used to be true. The trouble started when Riverbend estates popped up across the road like a pastel infection. Prefab houses lined up in neat little rows, stacked behind a white stucco wall and a decorative sign in cursive letters. A gated utopia for people who don't trust the world they left behind. And running that whole circus was Karen Sterling, president of the Riverbend HOA. She calls herself the steward of community order. To me, she looked like the kind of person who thought rules were sacred, as long as she wrote them. At first, we ignored each other. I had no interest in their manicured lawns and they had no business with my land. The problem was their eastern boundary. Behind the pastel boxes sat dense brush and rocky terrain, useless for trucks or equipment. The only logical access route for builders and movers was straight through my southern gate, down the gravel road my grandfather laid by hand back in 1967. They wanted it. I said no. Simple as that. It wasn't like they didn't try to buy me off. First came a certified letter last spring, an offer of $50,000 for a permanent easement across my property. I sent it back with a sticky note that read, "No thanks." They raised it to $75, then $100. Same answer. What they didn't understand, what they still don't, is that this isn't about money. It's about control. You give an inch to people like that, they build a highway down your spine. Then came the visit. It was just past 7 one morning, the kind of early that smells like dew and diesel. I was out by the shed checking the belts on a tractor when I noticed 2 men by my gate. High-vis vests, black Suburban idling nearby. One had a clipboard, the other wore a smug grin like he knew something I didn't. I walked down, rag in hand. Before I could speak, clipboard cleared his throat. "Morning, sir. We're with Riverbend Community Logistics. We need temporary access through your gate, just a few days, equipment deliveries." I raised an eyebrow. "This gate?" "Yes, sir," he said. "Would save us a lot of time going around. We've got concrete trucks scheduled Friday. Your route's the only direct access. It would mean a lot to the community." I shook my head. "This road isn't on your plans. It's not public. It's on my deed." "Just temporary," clipboard insisted. "We can make it worth your while." I folded my arms. "I already told Karen and your HOA I'm not interested. This isn't logistics. It's boundaries." That's when the smile dropped. Clipboard flipped a page and muttered, "The HOA is exploring legal avenues for temporary easement, emergency access justification, community interest." I laughed once. "So you're threatening to take my land through paperwork because I won't open a gate?" "No threats, sir. Just outcomes." That's when I pulled out my phone. "You're standing on private property without consent. That's trespassing. Conversation's over." I dialed the sheriff's non-emergency line. The look on their faces told me they weren't bluffing, but they weren't welcome either. They left before the deputy arrived, tires crunching like bones under the Suburban. The sheriff took my report, unimpressed. He muttered something about overzealous suburban types. But I could see it in his eyes. This wasn't the end. The next morning I found glossy HOA pamphlets stuffed into my mailbox and wedged in the hinges of my gate. They accused me of endangering public safety and blocking infrastructure development. A big red QR code linked to a website called riverbendprogress.org with my name in bold letters and a banner that read, "He's putting us all at risk." I didn't flinch. I doubled the locks, reinforced the gate with steel brackets and added another camera to the fence line. Let them smear my name, let them push. My boots were planted. The gate wasn't moving. I never liked the quiet after a threat. The air gets heavy like it's waiting for someone to make the next move, so I got proactive. I wasn't just going to sit around while a bunch of HOA officers plotted their next stunt. I upgraded my cameras, thermal, night vision, the works. Wired the feeds into a closed-loop system with cloud backups every 30 minutes. Some folks might call that paranoid. I call it prepared, and it paid off. 3 nights later, at 2:30 in the morning, my phone buzzed. Motion detected on the east fence line. I pulled up the feed and saw 2 figures in black, one carrying a flashlight, the other a toolkit. They weren't out for a stroll. They were messing with my lock. I slipped on my boots, grabbed my jacket and crept out by the tractor shed, watched from a distance as one of them pulled a grinder from his bag. Sparks flew against my gate. But here's the thing. My lock was triple reinforced steel. They weren't getting in. Then came the kicker. The second guy pulled out a folded document, held it up like it was gospel. From where I stood, I could see the header, court order. Only problem. Court orders don't show up at 2:30 in the morning delivered by guys in black hoodies. And the badge clipped to his vest, it said Riverbend Enforcement Officer. Not a real title, just HOA cosplay. Right on cue, red and blue lights lit the horizon. Sheriff's deputies rolled in, floodlights blinding the pair mid-spark. Grinder boy dropped his tool. The other one tried to run, but didn't make it far. They were cuffed and on the ground when I stepped out. The deputies weren't impressed. Turned out Grinder boy was a disgraced inspector, lost his license years ago. The court order was a bad photocopy with fake signatures. And when they asked who hired them, one name came up. Karen Sterling. That was enough for me. Within 24 hours, my lawyer filed an official complaint against the HOA. Trespass, attempted forgery, conspiracy to defraud a property owner. We had footage, fake badges, even a recorded confession that Karen called it just a formality. The HOA fired back with a press release acting shocked, calling it the work of an independent contractor. But they weren't fooling anyone, especially not me. The pressure ramped up. Overnight, protest signs sprouted outside my fence line. Let us through. Emergency access saves lives. They even staged a confrontation. One man stormed up to my gate, yelling about me being a danger to the neighborhood. When I refused to rise to the bait, he took a dive onto the gravel and screamed that I'd assaulted him. What he didn't know was that my helmet cam was rolling the whole time. Deputies reviewed the footage and cuffed him for filing a false report. The crowd scattered soon after, but the real battle wasn't in my driveway, it was in court. Then it was our turn. My lawyer handed the judge my deed, my grandfather's original plat map and 50 years of tax records proving the road was private. She played the footage of the break-in, the fake order, the staged assault. And then came the hammer, internal HOA emails leaked by their own treasurer, proving Karen knew she was lying. One line stood out in bold red. We can outlast him legally. Even if we're in the wrong, the pressure will make him cave. The judge didn't buy a word of their case. The HOA's request was denied with prejudice. Worse for them, the judge referred the matter to the district attorney for criminal review. Fraud, trespass, document tampering, the works. 2 weeks later, Karen Sterling was arrested. Misuse of HOA funds, conspiracy, falsifying records. They showed it on the news. Her in cuffs, manicured hand hiding her face, the HOA sign fluttering behind her. Riverbend's HOA was dissolved not long after. State-appointed overseers took over until new elections could be held. As for me, I reinforced my fence with steel bollards sunk in fresh concrete, installed solar floodlights along the perimeter, hung a brand new sign at my gate, no trespassing, private land, trespassers prosecuted. Neighbors still drive by sometimes, some even stop to apologize. A few bring pie, Most just say, didn't realize how bad they were. I don't hold grudges, but my gate stays shut, always.